Hi folks, how you doing? Russell True Results 303.com. Check out the website, link in the description box. Mind, Body, Spirit, Fitness. Putting healing back in health. Once again, when you're at the website, sign up for the newsletter. Check out your free downloads, Setting Goals, Fitness, and Nutrition. Follow on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Podcast is out there. All those links down below in description land. Coming at you today with a review of week 1. And then actually it's not really week 1, but week 1 of my training for my first half Ironman, right? So mistakes, benefits, I guess. I don't know, just some things I've learned during this first week or two. So I actually started training with my boss. He gave me this book. I would say read. I would say before you do anything, probably read a book. This is the one he had given me. And just some basics, right? Since I'm doing a half, which means unfortunately next year I'll probably be doing a full. Most likely he's going to talk me into, well, not talk me into it, we'll just see how it happens. But I'm pretty sure we'll end up doing a full then. But, so the biggest mistake I've made during this first week. So the biggest mistake is training with my boss, who has done 4 of them, right? He's done 4 Ironmans in the past. And then the second mistake would be only reading part of this book, maybe in reality trying too hard, listening to people, right? These are probably my biggest mistakes, especially since I have competitive, I have that real competitive spirit, right? So that's probably the first downfall, actually, the competitive spirit. So my boss, like I said, he's done 4. So on the bike, we finally got our bikes. We finally had some decent weather here in Colorado, and we went biking, right? And so that's first mistake, my competitive spirit. My second mistake, listening to people. And those are those 2 coming from him. So he's like, if you're sitting down, we want to always stay seated, even on the hills. We want to stay seated, and we want to just make sure we're pedaling all the time. Right? Now, of course, when I started reading this book a little more, this is not what I'm about to tell you is not going to be a good thing. It says for racing, for the actual event, but this is what I experienced with him. So when I sat and we went for our first bike ride, sitting on a hill, I could not catch him. He was just gone. So the second ride, I just stood up. If I stood up, I could stay on pace with him. Of course, I'm working 10 times harder than he is because I have to stand up, be in a heavier gear just to catch him. That's my competitive spirit. Now, they say in a race you don't want to be doing that, but maybe if you're training that way, it doesn't really matter. Right now you're just in training mode. So once again, I'm still just, as he calls, spinning. So I'm just working, right? Just building up the lactic acid, working on my endurance. The one thing about this book that I read that I didn't really take into consideration because I only read part of it was when you pedal, you're supposed to pull up and push down, right? Pull up and push down, pull up and push down, pull up and push down. And what you're supposed to do when you pedal is you're supposed to go down, and then as you're pulling up still in plantar flexion, right? This is dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, right? So you're supposed to pull up kind of in a plantar flexion and pushing down, right? What I was doing was I was pedaling and I was pulling up like that, pedaling and pulling up like that. And just do that with your hand real quick. If you do that with your hand, and maybe I just have tight wrist, if you do that with your hand, you get a lot of tension right here on the top of your hand, right? So I was doing that. I wasn't being fluid with it, right? And since I did that, I injured the top of my left foot. And I was pulling up hard. And you pedal a lot faster when you do that. Just unfortunately, I injured this foot. So right now, then the bad thing was, so the morning we did that in the afternoon. On the morning, I ran 5.5 miles, right? So at 7 o'clock on that Sunday morning, I ran 5.5 miles. So last Sunday. Ran 5.5 miles. Then we went out, and it's like, the half Ironman's 56 miles. So I'm like, we'll go out and bike 10 and everything will be all right. Heck no. This is the competitive spirit, and this might be the downfall of initiating your training with an experienced racer. because day one we pretty much went out and biked over 20 miles. I think it was 22 miles, right? And then our second ride, which we just finished this past Sunday, so this is 8 days later, we did 28, right? So it's like week one, the race isn't even till August. It's the beginning of March right now. We've already almost, but we've not almost, we've pretty much, we have biked half of the race already on day one. Week one, I've already biked half the distance of the race. In my opinion, given my experience as a personal trainer and things like that, unnecessary, right? In my opinion, unnecessary. But that's also because since he's an IronMan competitor, he's having me train like it's an Ironman session, right? Like it's a full Ironman. But so kind of the downfall. And then the next day, this is something I would, and it says it in the book, I think. The next day, what I did, because the next day my foot didn't hurt, right? And maybe it could be DOMS, that delayed onset muscle soreness, right? But it's been over a week, so I either kind of tore something, or maybe I was looking it up, maybe a possible stress fracture. But then the downfall was the next day I went and ran with my lady, and we ran 3 miles. And then after that 3 mile, that's when my foot hurt. That's when my foot hurt. It didn't hurt at all that day, nothing. It was after I ran that 3 miles the next day. So in my opinion, it would be more of you're going from contact, even though biking, you're not hitting the ground. It would maybe be alternating like biking, swim, bike, swim, bike, swim, or bike, swim, run, swim, bike, trying to put a swim in between it. And if not in some way, shape, or form, just I get elliptical work instead. If I would have gotten on the elliptical instead of running that day, that probably would have been 100 times better. So it's just after something like that, the biking, the next time instead of biking, maybe you want to run because it's less impact. I don't know, but all I know is I jacked my foot up and I haven't ran since we went on that bike ride. I did that bike ride. Towards the end, the bike ride, my foot was hurting a little bit. And same thing with the swim. When I swam next, when I went and swam, my foot hurt a little bit. So I don't know, just those are kind of the downfalls there. The week before, I didn't have a bike. I was just at the gym on the cycle bike, right? The little cycling bike, and then running, and that was fine. But I guess my number one stress point is the pulling up on the bike. Make sure, they say it's like you're trying to scrape mud off of the bottom of your shoe, right? So you're going to scrape it like that. And like I said, I got stuck like this pedaling, and I was pedaling like that, and as I was coming back up, I was pulling up like that instead of coming down and scraping down. You want to be in that fluid motion is what I'm getting from it. And I was going like this. And when I did that, that messed up my left foot. Once again, it could just be a muscle. And then you're walking every day, right? So you walk every day, and then there's nothing you can do, right? It's just giving it time. That's all we can do. But there you go. That's just week one recap. Definitely need to drink more water. Need to get the diet on track a little bit. And actually, to tell you the truth, this last Sunday when we did the 28 miles, I did that completely fasted. In my opinion, that's kind of a good thing, even though when you read the book on sports nutrition, if you read anything on sports nutrition, and it comes down to if you are doing a race that is over an hour and a half long, you should be constantly fueling yourself, which of course is a good thing. But in reality, you might run out of it, you might drop something, you might not pack enough, you might run out. So I did that entire 28 miles fasted. And I stood while biking. I don't know if that's considered one of the ultimate sins. Like I said, you're using a lot of energy trying to keep up. I think one of the downfalls is even when we're going downhill, I don't know if he's just a little more aerodynamic or what the case is. I can't keep up with him. So that's kind of discouraging. I cannot keep up with him no matter what. We be going downhill. Maybe I know some of them he takes the turn faster, and he's taking the turn slower, so I have to slow down to catch up to him. So when that happens, I lose momentum because I have to slow down, and he's just at a constant speed. But that's kind of discouraging. I seriously cannot keep up with him on the downhill, even if I'm in a full pedal. I could be pedaling, and maybe I'm in the wrong gear. I need to do some more research on how to gear properly. But once again, it was week 1. I'm just kind of going at it. We'll see how it goes. I'm very competitive. I'm struggling hard right now, not cycling, not working out. So I'm really trying to focus on just doing abs, stretching, things like that. I've got kind of a tweaked hip, but I'm just really trying to take it easy, let the foot heal. He's kind of talking crap to me, but I'm not going to let that get to me, right? Because this was only week 1. In reality, it was probably about week 2.5 because I was doing the cycling and the running and those things on my own and swimming. I did that for a week and a half before I cycled with him. But my opinion is let it rest now, just because if I don't, I've got 5 months till the race, right? I think, right? June, July, August. Yeah, I've got 5 months till the race. And it's better now to be 1 to 2 weeks behind than to injure myself right before the race. So I'm trying my best. I'll probably try and do some swimming. Like I said, elliptical and bike. I probably won't run it all, just to try and let the foot heal up as best as possible. Biking wasn't too bad as long as I wasn't pulling up. Maybe I'll try pulling up like that next time. And the one thing I read for those that are doing that is it said don't worry about like pushing into the pedals hard, which is what I was doing because I wanted to catch him, because I was trying, if I was standing, I would have been fine, right? But if it's a technique you do not know or you have not performed before, don't just do it not knowing the correct technique, right? That's like anything, lifting weights, anything of that nature, you're going to damage or injure yourself, which is what I did. Putting too much exertion, and that's what that is too. It's not about how much force you push into the pedal, it's about the cadence and how fast you can pedal, right? Because it doesn't matter if I'm pulling up as hard as I can if that I'm assuming the pedaling stroke or the circle is not fluid, right? If it's jerking like that, which is what I was doing, like that, jerking, it does no good. So just some small things I'm learning on this journey. It's something new, and what can I say? But it's fun. I enjoy it. The cardio I've never done. I've actually never ridden a bike really until, from when I was young, riding just as a kid, to riding now on a road bike. But it's fun. It's interesting. So there you go. That's week 1. Once again, I'm just trying to play it by ear, kind of take some tips from the boss man. He gave me some tips on my swimming. One thing I'm doing when I'm messing up on my swim, it seems like, is I'm not fluid with my kick, right? I'm more from the knee than from the whole leg, and I'm not putting much core into it. And then he said when I'm stroking here. I'm stroking off with my hand instead of going straight. I'm off center and crossing body, and then instead of going straight like that. So instead of going straight, I'm coming in and over. I'm overextending, which once again is hurting you. And so I just need to learn to go like that. And then I need to learn to roll more, he said, during when I'm coming back. And once I actually did that, I went down and back and I focused on that big time roll to that. And my shoulder felt so much better versus here. When you're coming here, it was causing a lot of pain in my one shoulder. Not muscle pain. It was actually like the joint. Maybe the muscle was being overstretched. Could have been a muscle. I don't know. But it's not pain to where the next day I'm really sore. It's just pain to where it hurts, And once again, that could be that flexibility. Having difficulties getting my arms over my head right there. They're still in front of my ear. And in reality, proper flexibility would be back to here, trying to get to there. So I just got to work on that flexibility a little more. He taught me some drills. I think one was kind of decent. We swam while punching, right? So we didn't have the hands out. We just swam like that. The one I liked was just keeping one arm in front and then just stroking like this and kicking your feet. And then same thing here, stroking and kicking your feet. See right there, even my hand was kind of coming here. I got to focus on out here. Boom, boom, boom. Those were some decent drills. And like I said, and I think this is the one that really helped when I did this, because then it forced me to really come back and roll. Come back and roll. Come back and roll. And then the breathing is just head always down. When you're turning here, looking back, you're not up with the neck or anything. And it's always making sure you're looking back at you. So I don't know. Those are some tips I picked up this week from the boss. And then, of course, just the pedaling one. I had to learn that one the hard way. It's definitely a little better now, but it is still super tender at times. Definitely tender going up and down stairs. And then sometimes when I start pivoting side to side. So he was thinking it could have been like the plantar fasciitis, but it's not in my heel. So I don't know. Things to think about, things to consider if you're doing it. Once again, like I said, this is about week one kind of training at his pace. He's coming up with the full program here soon, but things to think about. So once again, I hope this helps. If you're on that journey, if you've got any things, comments, concerns to help me, let me know in the comment box. Maybe you're interested in doing one of these, and if you are, I say go for it. Something new, something different, change it up. Why not, right? You only live once. This is the time where you can say you only live once, not going out, let's go party, you only live once. No. This is health oriented. It's it's definitely going to be a mental game, trying to stay on track, keeping your mind strong. So once again, in this case, you only live once. Give it your all. Right? Test your limits. So once again, I hope this helps. Don't forget to follow on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Google+. The podcast is out there. Subscribe to this channel. Share and like these videos.